Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things we're talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We
It's
have
time
arrived.
to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We
It's
have
time
arrived.
to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First
the
Contact
truth.
Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing? Welcome to First Contact Radio, or welcome back to First Contact Radio. I've been gone for about a week, so it's good to be back. Hope you're doing well. Today is the 14th of the month, 14th of November. Our sun sign is in Scorpio. Our moon sign is in Leo. So Scorpio is a water sign. Leo is a fire sign. So fire and water are the two elements we're working with for the course of today. Our conscious mind is the Scorpio, the water, the emotions, feelings, and the dark element comes from the idea that these are feelings that are buried down deep, that rise to the surface during this time, and as they do, sometimes we are looking at something that we're not quite certain of because it was in a place away from the light. Not because it was bad, just because it was far away. So Scorpio is a time about bringing up things from the depths, that they may be cleansed and rebirthed. And the underlying consciousness, the unconsciousness, is that fire sign of Leo today, bringing up ideas. So this is a good time of ideas. Now it's going to be changing when we get to the just after midnight at 1 a.m. We go into Virgo. So our moon sign will be Virgo for the weekend, which is all about analyzing the teacher within ourselves coming forward. The tarot card of the Hermit. So this is a nice good weekend of introspection. Really kind of figuring out where we're going, what we're doing, how we got where we are, so we can move forward. The aspects we're looking at today is a square that's going to take place in just a little more than an hour right now between our sun and our moon, between Scorpio and Leo. So a lesson between our ideas and those deep buried emotions. At 4:03 p.m., the moon sign Leo is going to be working with Saturn, discipline. So we've got some lessons we need to learn. And then as we move later into the evening, the lessons continue as the moon sign moves into a square with Venus, our imagination. So over the course of today, our moons, first our sun and our moon, our conscious and unconscious minds square off with each other. Our emotions and our ideas. We start that off with this morning, and as we get later into the day, those ideas that we have start to become more disciplined. And then as we get to the evening, our imagination goes through a sense of discipline as well. So it might be a good opportunity to really, when you think of the idea of disciplining something, might be maybe focus. Maybe that's the lesson. Maybe that's the discipline. Disciplining our energy, disciplining how we focus, like right here with Venus, our imagination. Or how we discipline, through working harder, setting our focus better. Our imagination here, the moon, and our creativity. So we got some good lessons for today, and then into the weekend, an opportunity to analyze what we've learned coming out of these squares. Okay, and then we'll be all the rest of the weekend in Virgo, and when we get back on Monday, when we make that transition to the next sign. Numerology for today is number 5. Here's how we arrived at that. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 4 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 4 all add up to 14. 1 plus 4 equals 5. 5 is the number of the Hierophant. Let's go over and look and see where that is. The Hierophant would be positioned right here, bringing us from wisdom down into mercy. The sun sign for today, Scorpio, over here, going from victory up into beauty. And our moon sign for the moment is Leo, which is the path that's crossing here. So we have mercy on one side, severity on the other, and the Leo, the lion, which means the path of righteousness or right useness, is the path that's right here in the middle, balancing them out. Too much and too little. Telling us that we use our strength and our heart. And when we allow love and our energy to flow through us and channel it through love, that provides us the strength we need to balance out all aspects of things that are too severe or too merciful. Basically things that are on the opposite extremes of this path. Because remember, if you think back to the Kybalion talks about how all energies are all part of the same path, like hot and cold. They're part of the same energetic path. They're just different extremes. So here you can almost imagine this. This is an extreme. One could be hot, one could be cold. Here's the line that's actually connecting the two together to show you how they are all connected. And moving back and forth is just a matter of sliding your position. The ideal position is right here in the middle in a balanced position. That way it's neither too hot nor too cold, but just right. And in that position that we find our greatest strength. And if you notice, the paths, again, all come back to this middle position. What you may also recognize, if you think of some of the technology you've seen of like the Hadron Collider, next time you look at an image of it, look at some of the way that it's set up, and you'll start to see something that looks very similar. Because some of these sciences are modeling after what are the esoteric symbols of the universe. Finding that if this is the universal symbol, and we recreate this, then we could perhaps recreate a way of understanding it. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, and the highlights of the tarot, which one we want to look at today? Our choices are the 5, or the 13, or the 8. Why don't we take a look at 13? Just to refresh our memory. 13 is the tarot card of death. That's what this period of time that we're going through, the Scorpio time, is. But it's not a physical death, it's a death of that which needs to go. So the symbology of this card represents change. Change. The skeleton itself represents a foundation. That's why we see the bones. It doesn't represent something bad. It represents the foundation, what underlies, what's the underlying principle. And when we look at the hands and the feet and everything here, if we look at them and we think this is all one body that's been dismembered, then yeah, it looks gross, it looks bad. But if we just look at them as individual symbols or body parts that are not associated with one particular being that was chopped up here, then you just see them as symbols for themselves. The head of a king, head of a queen, the right hand, the left hand. We just look to see what is the meaning of those particular symbols. So there's a lot of symbology. So there's different ways we can look at this. A person who has no knowledge or is uninitiated as to what these cards and these symbols represent will look at this and see this as perhaps something being scary. But once you are initiated which means you learn the meanings of these symbols, you realize that what is going on here is different, and your understanding, because you've been initiated into the meaning, is different than those who haven't been. And that's how it is with many of the philosophies in life and the esoteric sciences. But once you're initiated into that meaning, then it becomes different. So when you have those who wonder, why are some of these things still around after all these years when they seem so bad? It's because once those individuals become initiated into the real meanings, they realize they're not bad and understand that it was only those who have been uninitiated to the meanings that go out and say that they're bad. So, you understand what I'm saying? So let me read a little bit about this card. It says, behind the fearsome and forbidding aspect of this key lies a world of inspired meaning. In the first place, the scene is not sunset as you might suppose, but sunrise. The card does not represent the end, but the real meaning of death is change, motion, transformation. Death is but the gateway to a larger life and reality. It is the power represented by this key that transforms our consciousness and releases it from the trammels and limitations that now hamper its free expression. The significance of this key is profound when you realize that all of our knowledge of life rests upon its continual motion and change, disintegration for the release of energy. The skeleton is the conventional figure of death, his scythe of steel referring to the planet Mars. It is crescent-shaped, indicating a relationship between the card and key 2. The handle is shaped like letter T, which stands for Ta. The 3 hands, 2 active and 1 passive, represent work. The severed foot represents the end of the Piscean age, as the rising sun does to the beginning of the Aquarian age. The man's head symbolizes wisdom, the woman's understanding. The white rose is the same as that carried by the Fool in key 0. So one thing that you may notice on this particular go-round of this explanation is that each of these symbols is connected with something. And in some cases, they're connected to other lessons that were learned throughout these tarot. So when you get the white rose, the same as carried by the Fool, it's important to understand what the Fool is. Once we understand what that is, then we can make that association, and it takes our understanding deeper. Because perhaps we might be initiated to understand what that rose is of the Fool. Now the next step is to understand how throughout the rest of the journey and the rest of the cards, that whenever that symbol comes in, how that original symbol is evolved. And so the level of initiation goes deeper. And that's what continues to happen. We continue to learn more and understand deeper meanings of things. Okay, very important. And of course, water, feelings. Think of Star Wars. Stretch out with your feelings was one of the phrases. The moon phase for today is the 14th of November. It says keep an eye on little Mars in the southwest at dusk. It will keep hanging there all month after month throughout this winter as constellations of the zodiac slide behind it. The last quarter moon exactly at 10:16 a.m. The moon rises around midnight tonight with Jupiter to its left. By dawn Saturday morning, the 15th, the moon is below Regulus, with Jupiter now high to the upper right as shown below. So here's our moon. If we look a little bit up and to the left, Jupiter will be there, and then to the left of Jupiter, that whole sickle of Leo. So that's what you look up. You're going to be looking south into the sky tonight. Mayan Oracle, today we are on the 3-tone day. It's the wave spell of the mirror. Today is a 3 sun guided by the seed. So our wave spell, 13-day theme, is all about reflection. The world reflecting itself back at us. How does it represent? If we go into the world and we think of the world as a reflection, and what we see is a reflection of who we are, perhaps it allows us an opportunity to change things. Because if we understand that what we're seeing is all a reflection of what's going on inside of ourselves, then we don't need to change the outside reflection. All we need to do is change what is going on inside of ourselves, and that reflection will change. So there's important lessons in learning along this way, and endlessness is part of what's going on here as well with this lesson. Okay, the phrase for today is I activate in order to enlighten bonding life. I seal the matrix of universal fire with the electric tone of service. I am guided by the power of flowering. Here is where we are on the Mayan Oracle. We're at the bottom of the 6th column. Tomorrow we begin up at the top of the 7th column. The 7th column is the middle pillar, the middle column in which everything revolves around it. So the next 20 days are these days in which, according to this particular system, we are like in this voided out area. These first 6 and these last 6 reflect each other, and here we are right here. Everything's revolving around it. So it's kind of a good place to be. It's an intense place. We've had a tense period of days leading up to this. After this middle period, we're going to go back where we have another 10 days in a row, real intense. So this is kind of our break time, starting tomorrow. So we're winding up these 6 columns here today, getting ready to go into a break to have then these last 6 reflect these first 6. Spaceweather.com, solar wind is 510 kilometers per second at the moment. Planetary K index is in the quiet range between a 2 and a 3. We have one big coronal hole right there in the middle of the sun. 17th or 18th is when we're told we're going to get hit from wind coming from this direction. 70% chance in the next 24 to 48 hours we're going to have an M-class flare. 30% chance that it could be an X. Geomagnetic storm activity is at 15% in the mid-latitudes, and in the high latitudes as high as 25%. On the Jewish calendar today is 21 Cheshvan, and the daily thought for today is leading forward. You do not need to attain perfection in order to lead. You only need to discover that which is way forward and began moving in that direction. So once again, leading forward, you do not need to attain perfection in order to lead. You need only to discover which way is forward and begin moving in that direction. And that's very important. Good lesson here, perfection. We strive at times, we think we have to attain these levels of perfection based on our human concept of what perfection is. And so we strive to eliminate anything that which we think is a mistake. But what if those things that we deem mistakes are actually part of the process that we need to see and is actually part of the perfection? So again, the lesson, how we do that, we just discover the way to move forward and move in that direction. And let everything else fall into place. And move out of the way of judgment, so we're not judging what we think is imperfect or what we think is perfect. We simply allow that to be, because our job is just to keep moving forward, keep showing up. And that, my friends, that is our info to get us started here today. UFO News is up next.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. First sighting today takes us over to Chile, November 6th. We have 3. Could either be a triangle or we have 3 individual orbs. Well, it looks like we have a 4th one up there and another grouping here, so quite a bit. Quite a bit. This is a rare catch. The eyewitness captured in HD, mind you. Hundreds of cloud orbs being released from a mother orb in the clouds. Mother orb creates the orb somehow, and the orbs or drones shoot out one by one every 10 to 15 seconds. Here we are lucky to see many of them together, which means they are actually created and were about to spread out to monitor humans, or they had finished their monitoring and coming together into the mother orb to be taken home. No, the mother orb is just a drone itself, but larger and created from a different purpose than the smaller orbs. This is very similar to the famous Japanese sighting 2010, but they captured a mother orb shooting out its drones. If such an orb were to fall to the ground, it would appear as a light metal hollow ball. All tech is built into its metal walls. It would appear as a simple hollow metal ball. And that's from Scott C. Waring. Witness says, thank you for your interest, and of course I took the video, and that sighting lasted 2 minutes around the 19 p.m. Okay, so when you enlarge this screen, you certainly get a much better view, and the video itself is only 1 minute 19 seconds. Okay. Alright, I'm going to leave the video link for you as always. You can check it out. Here we have a sighting above Phoenix, Arizona, November 7th. As we were driving from Tucson to Phoenix to watch a basketball game, we had just entered the city limits when we noticed these strange lights. We pulled over onto the freeway to take a better look. We noticed the lights were forming different shapes and were hovering without movement. We also noticed light appear and disappear. We took a small video of that, what we saw. We had to continue driving, but while on the road, about 8 lights appeared in a straight line. We did not notice many copters close to the lights, as if they were trying to get rid of them. We continued driving north and the lights disappeared. The incident lasted about 25 minutes. And the video is 1 minute 39 seconds. You definitely have an object here. Well, on one hand we only see the 3 that looks like a triangle, but there's something back here. It seems that there's something back here. Even, yeah, a couple of them there. One there, one there. Huh. Perhaps, this... It's hard to tell if it's a full craft, one big craft or not. It looks like it could be, because there seems almost as if there's solidity to the middle, doesn't it? Check it out. See what you think. Send me an email. Make a comment. Florida, we have a nice triangle. This took place, it says, just with night vision. 55-second video. There you go. It's good sighting right there. Okay, moving on. Georgia. Canton, Georgia. Witness reports watching and photographing 2 cigar-shaped UFOs that seem to be attached by a small tubular connection. According to testimony in the MUFON database, the witness was outside in a driveway, about to walk inside on November 6th when the object was first seen. I looked to my right, facing southeast, to see if my horses were in their stalls. I then noticed something rather odd flying above the barn. As the sky was clear and not cloudy and still broad daylight, the object was flying in an odd sort of way, not like any aircraft I am aware or it could fly. It was shimmering. It appeared to be glowing. It had no wings, and it looked like 2 silver cigar shapes attached together by a small tubular connection. The witness tried to understand what the object was. From the distance of height I venture, I guess it was possibly not as large as a commercial aircraft, but perhaps the size of a private airplane. I had the impression it seemed to be ascending, but also seemed to be floating. At the first moved slowly. When it appeared to, says, when I looked up again, it was gone, either out of sight or vanished. Left me with an unsettled feeling. Here we have a sighting above Gainesville, Florida, November 11th. This one here is also with night vision. I believe this is the same one. I'm just showing you 2 times in a row. Okay. UFO over house in Holland, seen from the sky and the ground view. Again, this is a good resource, a good tool for ufologists to go to Google Earth and just start looking through the images, or to look at the images, through NASA, through JPL. There's a lot of documents out there and imagery that we could certainly see and check out. So if people say that there's nothing to research, they're not trying. It's just a short effort. You'll find what you need. Check out this UFO discovered in Google Earth. Over a house you see a glowing UFO and it has a beam of light coming out of it. If you enter Street View, you will see that over the house is a dark oval UFO. So we see this UFO from the air and from the ground. Fantastic find by YouTube user NPC8 Studios. So there we go. Nice little glowing object there. The house, and here we have the video to accompany this. 1 minute 51 seconds, and it's going to take you right to the location so we could all see the UFO. And look at that. There we go. Just passed it. It was over here. There's that one right there, whatever that is. Alright, so there you go. Something to play around with. Google Earth. Mars. Here we have that glowing light, or another glowing light, or something or another. Photo source comes to us from the JPL photos. So anybody who says these are not real just needs to take a look and see where they're coming from, and realize that they are coming from the organization that is working with this mission. Here we have a mysterious white orb moving around the surface of Mars. It's very similar in color and shape to the orbs seen in the old Apollo mission photos. It was discovered a paranormal crucible of YouTube and is quite remarkable. The orb was caught in not one but 8 different images. The object moves with intelligence. Don't take my word for it. Click on the NASA link above to see it for yourself. Okay. So definitely can see it moving. Okay, so we've got something going on out there. And here's something going back to the Apollo mission, showing a similar type of orb up there as well. There we go. Okay, links available so you can check it out further on your own. California resident believes San Andreas fault is a major UFO passageway. An extremely slow-moving gigantic UFO is reportedly seen by a California witness at El Centro. The UFO appeared to be flying along a major corridor for UFOs according to the witness testimony filed in the database. The witness was at a second-story balcony while looking to the eastern sky around 8:13 p.m. when the object was first observed. The witness first saw some type of solid object moving from the right, coming from the south at a very slow speed. The witness noticed that the mysterious object was extremely massive in size, and when it was in front of his or her field view, he felt his fear but continued to observe the unusual event in the sky. The UFO became clear in the view of the witness as the moonlight cast light towards it, as described by the witness. It was surreal to see such strange object. The huge UFO barely moved across the sky while the witness stood in shock and disbelief. According to the report, Imperial County is a UFO hotspot. The witness observed a flight pattern of the UFO that seemed to fly to the Gulf of California, entering via the mouth of the Gulf to the Imperial County of South Mexicali, Mexico. The witness said the flight route is not a mere coincidence. It is the path going directly over to San Andreas Fault at the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. The witness said that the number of UFOs he or she has been observing is increasing lately. He or she encourages people to help report sightings as the number is very alarming. Right, interesting idea there. Smoking gun on the existence of aliens. Panel discussion on UFOs was held at the American University on November 12th. Wednesday night it was highlighted with a smoking gun evidence, like what one of the speakers described it. Researcher and author Thomas Carey revealed to a jam-packed crowd in the Amberson Recital Hall that they have in possession an alien being lying in a glass case. However, he did not mean the actual alien, but a couple of Kodachrome color slides of it. Carey has been investigating the Roswell since 1991. Right? One last piece here. I'm going to go back up to, or we're going to go to the Comet. ESA confirms Comet 67P transmits a radio signal. Hear it on video. Okay, here's the Comet. Remember, this was the one that the UFO was landing on. This is an exciting announcement, folks. The ESA has announced this week that Comet 67P has been sending radio signals. In my opinion, this is not a code. It is a species of alien communication to one another without speaking, a form of telepathy put into primitive radio signals. It's the only way the species can communicate to us. This is their thoughts. They don't talk. They look like the 1 meter tall grays, but with skin that has a tint of brown. Yeah, I've heard about this sound before. Listening to the video below to hear the signal, the song as they call it, is a repeated message. Below, the signal was put into radio transmission, a very primitive technology to send messages with. The signal had to have been made for humanity. Getting a copy of the full message and then translating it should be of utter importance. It is a message of greetings or a warning of what's to come. We, the people of the world, need to find out. And the message in the Examiner, ESA today confirmed that it was receiving a mysterious signal from Comet 67P Churyumov Geraminenko, a post on its live website. It described the signal as a mysterious song and uploaded a recording with the caption, "Hear our comet sing." The confirmation follows months of rumors that the Rosetta mission was originally sent to explore a radio signal from the comet first detected 20 years ago. The number 12 landing of the mission probe will be live streamed to the world as it was. Okay, and here we have this one. Here's the radio signal. Alright, let me play this signal for you. Very interesting. Alright, the rest of the signal's there so you can check it out. Very interesting indeed. So that's the signal coming from the comet. Hopefully we'll hear more about that, but check it out. You can listen to that noise, or the singing, however you want to call it. And that's it. I'll be back. Stay tuned.
Coming to our circle.
This is the UFO News.
Great Spirit, fill our souls with peace.
Continue on. Continuing on. So I hope you're doing well today, whatever you're doing. If you happen to be working late, I hope that your day ends quickly. And if you're home already, I hope you're enjoying your evening. So every Friday, as I've been doing for a couple months now, 2 months, Jesus Friday. I love talking about Jesus, and as such I've been reading the parables, and these are from a a source that has parables in chronological order. So this one we're going to speak about today is the 34th one on that list. It's from Matthew 21 through 16 about workers in the vineyard. For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire men to work in his vineyard. He agreed to pay them a denarius for the day and sent them into his vineyard. About the third hour he went out and saw others standing in the marketplace doing nothing. He told them, "You also go and work in my vineyard, and I will pay you whatever is right." So they went. He went out again to the 6th hour and to the 9th hour and did the same thing. About the 11th hour he went out and found still others standing around. He asked them, "Why have you been standing here all day long doing nothing?" "Because no one has hired us," they answered. He said to them, "You can also go and work in my vineyard." When evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, "Call the workers and pay them for their wages, beginning with the last ones hired and going on to the first." The workers who were hired out about the 11th hour came out, and each received a denarius. So when those who came were hired first, they expected to receive more, but each one also received a denarius. When they received it, they began to grumble against the landowner. "These men who were hired last worked only 1 hour," they said, "and you have made them equal to us who have borne the burden of the work through the heat of the day." But he answered them, "Friend, I am not being unfair to you. Didn't you agree to work for a denarius? Take your pay and go. I want to give the man who was hired the last the same I gave you. Don't I have the right to do what I want with my own money? Or are you envious because I am generous? So the last will be first, and the first will be last." Okay, let's look at what the commentary is on this one. So it observed that nobody was cheated. Not a single worker was unpaid, while it was argued based on human subjective economic comparison that some were overpaid, nobody was cheated. All right. Let's just look at our own commentary. How about that? What we have here is we have a situation. It seems to be a situation where everybody was looking for something and they got what they were looking for. But then in the end, after the agreement was made, they wanted something more because they felt that they did not get treated fairly for their efforts. Yet they were doing to that which they had agreed. Kind of brings a lot of thoughts in mind. Sometimes in life, we begin doing something and then we think the price that we're getting paid isn't fair, and so at the end we demand more. We feel that we've been cheated. And perhaps it's a simple process that we get from the universe whatever we want. And perhaps those who came in the 11th hour, they got more because that is what they expected that they were going to get. Perhaps those who had started first might have negotiated for more. But down here, the owner of the money, the one who is making the payments out, as he says, "Don't I have the right to do what I want?" So the way in which we treat each other is very important. The way in which we transact business with each other is important. And I think we must understand that it couldn't just be about business, because Jesus wasn't a businessman in this regard. So the lesson must be more about the business of our soul, how we buy and sell ourselves on each and every day. And understanding what we're doing might be helpful to the process. Now here we're going to look at the next one, 35 and 36. Luke 18, 1 through 17. And then Luke 18, 9 through 14. Okay, first one. Persistent widow. Jesus told his disciple a parable to show them that they should always pray and not give up. He said, in a certain town there was a judge who neither feared God nor cared about men. And there was a widow in that town who kept coming to him with a plea, "Grant me justice against my adversary." For some time he refused, but finally he said to himself, "Even though I don't fear God or care about men, yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will see that she gets justice, so that she won't eventually wear me out with her coming." And the Lord said, "Listen to what this unjust judge says. And will not God bring about justice for his chosen ones, who will cry to him day and night? Will he keep putting it off? I tell you, he will see the day we'll all get justice, and quickly. However, when the Son of Man comes, he will find faith. Will he find faith on the earth?" That's a good question. And this is where we seem to be and what we seem to be dealing with right now. Faith. Faith in the process. That what we were told is going to happen is going to happen. Faith in the process of who we are, that we become who we believe we can be. Faith was very important to the ministry of Jesus. You heard the words a lot. Your faith has healed you. Luke 18, praying Pharisee and tax collector. To some who were confident of their own righteousness and looked down on everyone else, Jesus told this parable. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee, the other a tax collector. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee, the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood up and prayed about himself, "God, I thank you that I am not like the other men, robbers, evildoers, and adulterers, or even as this tax collector. I fast twice a week and give a tenth of all I get." But the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven, but beat his breast and said, "God, have mercy on me, a sinner." I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. I think that one's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's all about energy in life. And sometimes when we read these passages and we come to understand what's being said, we miss the point because we maybe take too literal. But maybe the lesson here is a lesson more about how we use our energy. You see, there are basic understandings and laws of the universe, and when we use energy in a certain way, like with a recipe, we get the result that we're looking for. And if we don't, we get some sort of other chaotic result. If we don't even bother to try to put it together at all, it might be absolute chaos without any sort of result that we recognize at all. But when we learn to work with our energy and learn to work with the processes at hand, we have a different result. And in this particular case, part of the process is understanding our energy, understanding when it is time to be humble and what that humility is about. Understanding the co-creatorship we have with the universe. Because oftentimes it's very easy to get caught up in the "I created this" syndrome. I did this, I did that. Well, yes, to one degree, the human personality that we are, does that. But we only do it in accord with that power, that spirit that flows through us, and that's the power of God that flows through us. So there is a co-creatorship that takes place. And it seems to me that when we remember the co-creatorship, then we understand that we have a partner that is with us all the time, and we don't have to worry about making bad decisions if we trust that we are in this co-creatorship. But that is only when we step out of this and we start to get into this I mentality and separate ourselves from the co-creatorship partnership we have, that we start to see things in a way that might be unclear. So it's all back to us, how we choose to use our energy, how we choose to look at life and apply that which we understand. Because we can look at life, we can understand what the rules are, we can understand how the game is played intellectually, but to actually go out and play it and participate in it, that's another thing. To put into practice the faith that is required. There's a time when Jesus will be returning, as we've been told. So when that time comes, what is Jesus going to find when he returns? Is he going to find a place where there is going to be a lot of misunderstanding? Is he going to find a place where there's people here waiting for him, having learned the lesson that he was teaching? Or is he going to find a situation where there are people that aren't at all ready to have him back. I use this application. I found it. It's a little application about Jesus. So every day I get sent these little text messages, or these little, like these things here. So this one for today says, so when the abomination of desolation spoken of by the prophet Daniel, standing in the holy place, let them who are in the Judea flee to the mountains. Let the one who is on the housetop not go down to take what is in his house, and let the one who is in the field not turn back to take his cloak. And alas, for women who are pregnant, and for those who are nursing infants in those days. Pray that your flight may not be in winter or on a Sabbath, for there will be a great tribulation, such as not been seen from the beginning of the world until now, no, and never will be. And if those days had not been cut short, no human would be saved. For the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. And if anyone says to you, look, here is the Christ, or there he is, do not believe it. For false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders, so as to lead everyone astray, if possible, even the elect. See, I have told you beforehand. So if they say to you, look, he is in the wilderness, do not go out. If they say, look, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe it. So in this day and age, we're living in a time where, don't we have presidents of this country claiming to be Christian, but then going out and fighting wars and doing things that are un-Christ-like? Well, we're reminded of these things. All we have to do is be mindful of the words that were spoken and the warnings, that there are those who are going to be deceived. So we are not to be deceived. We are told over and over and over again, do not be deceived. Okay? For false Christs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs so as to lead astray even the elect. See, I have told you beforehand. That see, I have told you beforehand is pay attention. I've given you advance notice. They're going to come and they're going to try to lie to you. Don't believe the lies. So, you've been warned. You've been told. Now all you can do is apply the information that you've been given and don't let yourself get lied to. It's very easy, but it's also very difficult. It just depends what it is you want to do. Alright, an article at In5D. This one is called What is Consciousness? Jim Self Webinar. What is consciousness and how does it play into your awareness? How do you begin to be aware of the various dimensions of consciousness and thought? Former In5D radio guest Jim Self talks about the aspects of consciousness that have shifted in recent times. According to Jim, your ability to work with the various dimensions of consciousness will affect the current world you perceive today. Jim also talks about how the decisions in the past and now affect us every day. According to Jim, in a fourth dimensional reality, everything happens now. There is no past, no future. Present existed as a previous present time around. You can access your history of what has happened in your previous past time moments, but it is history. It is information to be applied to this present time moment. Okay, and we've got a couple of videos down here. This first one is 58 minutes in length, part 1, What is Consciousness? And here we have a part 2, which is 59 minutes. So we have an hour's worth or 2 hours worth of information all about consciousness. Alright, the link is available so you can check it out. 2 hours. 2 hours to connect into understanding more about your consciousness. A well spent 2 hours. Alright, here is now our channeled message for today, and it comes to us from Jesus.
Jesus, you cannot avoid reality, your heavenly home, because you are always within it.
November 7th, 2014, by John Smallman.
Jesus,
the event for which you are all waiting. Humanity's move into full consciousness, its awakening, its ascension draws ever closer. I know you are becoming tired of hearing this kind of message. You want results, not rhetoric. Well, time is of the illusion, and although you experience it moving sequentially and at a relatively constant rate, this is not the reality of it. There are very few of you who have not been aware of time speeding up when you are enjoying yourselves, and of it slowing down when you are in pain. Time, like the illusion of which it is a major aspect, is purely subjective. That is probably difficult for you to accept or understand, and yet everything that you are aware of, that you experience, is most definitely subjective. Ice cream, a dream, an illness, are all deeply subjective experiences. The joy you get from eating ice cream is not provided by watching someone else eat it. But your scientists have for many years been discarding subjective evidence, claiming that it is inadmissible as proof of an event, and demanding objective proof in order for them to validate it. But objective proof is still subject to their subjective opinions, needless to say their expert opinions, as to whether or not it is valid. And over the years many proofs that those scientists have validated have later turned out to be invalid. You, each one of you and God are one. Scientific proof of this truth is not available and never will be, only subjective proof is available. Only a few of you have had this most wonderful and ecstatic experience, and it did not last. In human form, embodied, you could not undergo this state of extremely heightened and intense energy for more than a few moments, or your bodies would just dissolve, disintegrate, or burn up. However, once experienced, this experience is never forgotten, because it is utterly beyond any state that you could ever imagine, utterly real and completely unforgettable. Those who have had such an experience often attempt to describe it in words, but quickly admit that to do so is impossible. But the changes that occur within them as a result, their attitudes, their behaviors, their increased wisdom, and their uncomplaining acceptance of life in whatever form it unfolds for them, is immediately apparent to all who know them. And for many that is more than sufficient proof of the existence of an infinitely loving God in which all that exists is contained. Within the illusion, the only proof of the reality of God, of His eternal existence, is personal subjective experience, or acceptance of the validity of another's personal subjective experience. Once you accept that proof into your hearts, you discover or realize that no other proof is necessary, and a great weight is lifted from you as you relax into the knowing that God is all, and that you are an eternally inseparable part of Him. Your oneness with Source is a deep inner certainty, a knowing that nothing and no one can invalidate. If you want further confirmation from your 3D environment, then read some of the reports from those who have had near-death experiences, and be inspired and uplifted. None who have had NDEs have any fear of death, nor do they have any desire for an early termination of their human existence. They know they are on their path, and they surrender totally to God as they go about their daily human lives, doing His will by being, sharing, and extending the love that He offers to all. So to repeat, the event draws ever closer. All that you need to do is to accept that divine guarantee, and then go lovingly about your daily busyness or chores. The important word there is lovingly. To lovingly go about your daily lives is all that God asks of you. He does not ask or demand that you change the world, because to attempt to do that is to engage with the illusion and attempt to solve insoluble problems with your human intellect, and that cannot be done. However, if you go lovingly about your day, every day, you will perceive that the world around you is changing. If you go forth lovingly, you will experience love, and if you go forth fearfully, you will experience fear. Up until very recently, people whose intent was to be loving used to find their intent oscillating regularly between love and fear, as they listened to their friends and relatives and occasionally heard some good news, or listened to the news media and heard of disasters and catastrophes. Now, enveloped in the tsunami of love as you are, you have unprecedented assistance to maintain a loving intent in every moment. All in the spiritual realms are now overlighting you 24/7 because the moment for your awakening is exceedingly close. The ocean of love that is following closely behind the tsunami that leads it is vast, unstoppable, and very close. Love is momentous, it absolutely overwhelms all in its path, and all that exists is always in its path. Within the illusion that you built and entered by means of your powerful imaginations, you chose to exclude God, the source of your eternal existence, thereby excluding love. But love is always knocking on the door of your heart, because it wants to fill you with the joy and ecstasy that only it can provide. And when you open to it, as soon you will find yourselves instantly awake. You cannot avoid reality, your heavenly home, because you are always within it. The pretense that you have been maintaining, that you live in world that is a real and threateningly dangerous place, is dissolving under the enormous amount of evidence proving it to be unreal. You are in the process of returning to your natural state of eternal joy, because that is your will and God's. Your loving brother, Jesus.
Alright, very good. Good messages, right? All the positive changes that are ahead. Sometimes when I hear all those, all I feel is like Homer Simpson and just like, woohoo! So, alright. Our meditation for today. Let's do it. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Take another deep breath. Exhale. Another deep breath and hold it. Exhale. Listen to your heart beating as you inhale and exhale. Feel the rhythm of your body. And just get used to feeling the energy of you. The energy of the universe that is focused as you. I am a center of expression for the primal will to good, which eternally creates and sustains the universe. So just think and understand of the I am expression of God that you are. And as that expression of energy, feel that energy. Feel. Reach out with your feelings to understand the makeup that you are. Understand the depths of the emotions and the feelings that exist within you. And as you explore this inner world of who you are, and you look outside, you see the outside world as a reflection of that which is in. And so you work to change the inside. And as you make these subtle, small changes, you notice the reflection on the outside world changes. We realize that simple adjustments need to be made to go from doubt to faith. From fear to love. From sickness to health. From lack to prosperity. And on we see how we can make the positive changes in our life. And we allow ourselves to stand strong in faith and in courage, wearing the armor of God, knowing that there is not a force in this universe that can stand against us. Not a force in the universe that can stand and affect us, while we are empowered and protected by the strength, by the armor of the Almighty. And as we go into the world with this armor of protection, feeling our energy, we walk in a balanced and confident state, completely humbled as we understand our place in the universe and the power that flows through us. And in that humility we shine bright as a beacon of those who are here to assist and help this planet. Not through loud words, but through actions, through feelings. Let us contemplate the words of today's affirmation. I am perfect, whole, and complete. God is within me, and I am one with everyone. I am the divine image God intended me to be. I am renewed by untying the ties that hold me back. I am open to forgive. I walk in the likeness of God. I am content in knowing that I am necessary. God sparks my creative thinking, and God is me. I deserve only God in my life. I am free, and so it is. Amen. And just feel your connection with all that is. And as you feel that connection and you understand that you are part of all that is, it frees you up from feeling the necessity to be more than what you are. Because all that you are is already enough. And many haven't even gotten to understand who they truly are. So that is where we start. Who are you? Who are you? And allow those words to reverberate through your consciousness till you understand more and more each and every moment who you are and the connection that you have to all that is. Allow yourself to continue to contemplate that. Imagine sending love all around the planet right now from your heart chakra. Imagine the color green from your heart chakra as this love goes around the planet in all directions. Allow the love to absorb itself down into each and every individual on the planet and into the planet itself. And just think about love. Let that be enough as you go through this journey of life. Just imagine sending out love and light. And as you do, let's bring our consciousness back to the present moment. Let our unconscious mind continue on that journey of sending out love. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. There you have it, my friends. You know, one thing that comes to mind as I read the words of Jesus, think about the books of Enoch and Revelation, the term, the righteous and the elect, over and over. The elect. What is the elect? We are. How do we know? Because we elect to be part of that. Nobody is electing for us. We all have a vote. We all have that ability. We elect ourselves. Because we are the ones who decide whether we are worthy or not. The creative power flows through us. Of course we are worthy, because we are co-creators. We are co-at oneness with that universe, with that power of God. And it is only when we separate ourselves that we feel unworthy. So connect yourselves and understand your worthiness. Understand the oneness that you are. Understand that you are one of the elect because you elect to be. Have a great weekend. Don't stay at work too late. Get home, enjoy yourself, and have fun. That's it. I'll be back on Monday. Have an awesome weekend. I love you. Keep loving each other. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.